gagging. Okay, that is an amazing deal, guys. Okay, amazing. Welcome back to my channel, and if you are tuned in, this is my first ever surgery vlog series. I'm so excited to share this with you. Now, I'll be taking you through this journey of me getting my third round of surgery, and on today's episode, it's going to be a pretty lengthy one because I'm going to be taking you through 3 surgeons that I've been able to scale down based on the criteria that I mentioned in my previous videos. So let me give you a really quick recap. So episode 1, I shared with you the procedures that I'm interested in getting this round and what I'm hoping the results will produce, right? And then in episode 2, I shared with you what you must do prior to even considering a surgeon in order to avoid having all of these different deposits with different surgeons because you keep changing your mind, right? And then in episode 3, I shared with you the tips that you need for choosing the right surgeon, right? So how do you, from all of these tens of thousands of options in the world, right? Especially if you are making the decision to consider surgeons outside of your state or outside of your country, wherever I'm reaching you in the world, right? If you're choosing to go outside of there, you have a breadth of options, but how do you scale down and make the right choice and not base it on superficial reasons, such as like something that a surgeon that your friend may have chosen or your favorite celebrity you've heard is rumored, because it's never really official, right, that they've rumored to use this surgeon, right? So that's what we shared in episode 3. In today's episode, like I said, I have scaled down to 3 surgeons based on the criteria I shared in episode 3. So if you're interested in finding out what their pricing was, what they're offering me, and what is included, stay tuned. Okay, so let's jump right in. If you see me looking down, it's because I have quite a bit of notes here. I want to make sure that I'm giving you everything that I have captured in the process of getting down to these 3 surgeons. Now, I'm only going to be sharing the name of one of the surgeons, and that is because I have used her in the past, so I feel comfortable sharing her name, but the other 2 we are going to keep anonymous for now, and then whoever I choose as the final surgeon, you will find out in the next video. But in the purpose of this video, I want to share with you what the process was to get these numbers, and then also what are the pros and cons of choosing this particular surgeon, and also what is included in this package or in the quote that they provided me, as well as whether or not they are in state or out of the country. The first one is going to be Dr. Yili de los Santos. Now, if you've watched my previous video, which I will put here, that was the video where I shared with you all my experience in getting plastic surgery in the Dominican Republic, and I got that back in 2018. When I got that round of surgery, I had it with Dr. Yili de los Santos. Now, I decided to reach back out to her as an option because I feel like if I do choose to go back to the Dominican Republic, she would be who I'd feel most comfortable with, because even though things may not have went 100% smoothly, I kind of know my evils, and I know that I know pretty much what to expect. And from what I've heard, the overall process, because that was a little over 4 years ago, has gotten better. Okay, so first option, she is in the Dominican Republic, as I mentioned. Now, what I reached out to her about was getting Lipo 360, so that would be, of course, 360 lipo as well as a fat transfer to my BBL. I mean, to my butt. As I mentioned to you, it's not that I necessarily want my butt to be necessarily bigger, but I do want to have some of the dimples filled in, right? So, and a little bit of reshaping. Just needs a little shaping, right? That's what I need. So that's what I got a quote for. And also, she quoted me as a tummy tuck, but the real thing that I need, I don't need a tummy tuck. It's that I was asking about scar revision, because I want to get my current scar to be a little bit lower, right? I know that in the Dominican Republic, you know, they will be more open to doing more procedures in one round, whereas a lot of the doctors in America, which you will see in my upcoming options here, I will share with you what the doctors shared with me as far as what they would do and if it needs to be split into more than one round. But in this one, she agreed to the Lipo 360, the BBL, the tummy tuck, and lastly, my breast lift. As I mentioned to you guys, I've had my implants for about a little over 10 years now, so I do need to get them replaced. And so in order to do that, I want to get them smaller, because right now I'm almost an E. I know I may not look that way, but I am almost an E, so I want to go down to a B, maybe C, right? So I asked for a quote on that as well. So she quoted me for Lipo 360, BBL, breast lift, and tummy tuck. She quoted $8,250, and that is going to include a $500 discount because I am returning for another round, right? Like, I've been with this surgeon, I've had a procedure with her back in 2018. So what they do when you do return is they do give you a discount. Not all surgeons do that, but Dr. Yili does do that, okay? Now, included in this package is, this is absolutely insane, like in a good way, the recovery home for 10 nights. Transportation, ground transportation. So that would be transportation from the airport to the recovery home when you're leaving from the recovery home back to the airport, and then any transportation that's needed for your surgery, post-op appointments and such, that's all inclusive. Overnight nurse, which is not, now this is new, because when I went with Dr. Yili the last time, number one, she did not include a recovery home, but to my understanding, she now has her own recovery home. She did not have that before. So she's including that in her pricing. In this package, which is new, did not have that before, overnight nurse is included. In addition, it includes 10 massages, guys. This is insane. And it includes blood reservation. Now, what that means is, in the event, God forbid, that you need to have a blood transfusion. I had 2 blood transfusions the last time I went. So in the event that you need to have a blood transfusion period, they usually charge you, I think it's like $500 or $250. They will reserve blood prior to you having the procedure, so that in the event that, God forbid, you need it, they're giving you your own blood back, right? So that usually was an additional cost, but she's rolled that into her pricing. In addition, the post-op garment stage 1. So your faja, stage 1 faja is included. All of that for $8,250. Gagging, okay? That is an amazing deal, guys, okay? Amazing. And again, take a look at her Instagram account, and you will see she does quite phenomenal work, okay? Now, let's talk about pros and cons. The pros of choosing this surgeon and going to the DR, right? You will get aggressive results. You will have much more aggressive results, in my experience, because I've had plastic surgery in the Dominican Republic and I've had it in New York, okay? So I can share what my experience has been in country and out of country. You will have more aggressive results from the Dominican Republic, okay? The cost is absolutely phenomenal, and it's an all-inclusive experience. I mean, you're really getting everything pretty much that you need, because of course, you know, your recovery home includes food and stay and nurses, 24-hour nurses. This is phenomenal. The cons, my recovery for the Dominican Republic round, which was round 2, if you will, you know, I kind of had a 1 and a 1A, so it could be seen as 2 or 3, whatever you want to call it. But I'll link that video so you can see that. But the long-term recovery is real, okay? I would say when I had my surgery in New York, which I'll link here, my recovery was about 5 weeks before I felt like I was, I'd say, about 85%. I went back to work. Everything was all good. When I went to have my surgery in the Dominican Republic, I did not really feel like I was at about 85% till maybe about 3 months post-op. It was insane. The amount of bruising I had, I could not drive. I developed necrosis from my arm lift. I am telling you, this recovery in the Dominican Republic, just from my experience in the last procedure, I mean in the last round, was like no other. I could not compare it to in country, okay? The other Con is that you are at a high risk when you go outside of the country. I'm sharing this from personal experience because I had to go to the emergency room because I had necrosis in my arm lift. Necrosis means that a part of your skin has died, so I developed a hole. And the hole was deep. It was about a good 2 inches deep. Like you could stick your whole finger inside it. And it was probably about this. It was probably a little bit like a $50 big. It was pretty scary and it kept growing. And so when I went to the emergency room, no one really wanted to touch me. It was like a problem to get someone to help me because there's a liability, right? Because they're thinking to themselves, okay, she got this done in the Dominican Republic. God forbid, if anything were to happen with us trying to resolve this necrosis issue, and she develops further issues, now she could potentially seek legal action from that particular hospital. So that's the one thing. And I will tell you that, you know, if you have surgery done in the US and then you now go to the emergency room, they don't feel like it's as much of a risk. Okay, so that's something you want to consider as well. So there we are with option 1. All right. Now, option 2, I'm not going to name the surgeon. I am going to say that this option 2 is called Atlanta Doctor. Okay, now for those of you that don't know, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, so this would be considered in-state. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is go through the pricing and what's included in this price that I was quoted. Now, I will say this before I start. This is a well-known surgeon in Atlanta. All right, and I want to preface it with this because when you think about pricing, the pricing, first of all, is very different from the Dominican Republic. That goes without saying. Even if this was like a no-name surgeon, like that may have just started out, it's still going to be more expensive because you are in the United States and operating fees, everything is much more money. Okay, this is a well-known surgeon though. So with it being well-known, meaning that they've done celebrities, they're automatically going to start beefing up their pricing because they know that they are more of a hot commodity. All right, so just keep that in mind. Now this particular surgeon, they explained to me that they would not do the breast reduction in the same round. It would need to be done separately if I were doing the BBL. Okay, so it's either that I do breast reduction, lipo in 6 areas. Now let me tell you what this means. When you are doing 360 lipo in the Dominican Republic, they are grabbing everything. Any piece of fat they can find, even fat that is thinking about growing, they're pulling it out. Sis is going in there for it, okay? In the United States, they will nickel and dime you for everything. As a matter of fact, when I got my surgery done in New York, they were charging like upper abdomen, lower, because at the time, lipo 360 wasn't a thing. This was back in like 2011. So lipo 360 wasn't a thing, okay? So they were charging for upper ab, lower ab, upper back, lower back, planks, love handles. Those were all different areas and you had to pay each area separately. Now that they have this lipo 360 thing in this Atlanta doctor, they do a 6 area or a 3 area lipo. I went for the 6 area lipo plus a BBL plus a breast reduction would be $20,483. If I decided to do a breast reduction and J plasma, which as you guys know is the tightening of the skin, I explained that in the first episode, that would be $11,303. That would not include the lipo, and that would not include fixing the dimples on my butt area, and it would not include fixing my scar, right? So let's do a quick review again. The big things that I wanted to change, and again, you know, you can't get everything you want, right? But the big thing that I wanted to change was I need to reduce the size of my breasts. I wanted to lower my scar, my tummy tuck scar, so that I can wear, like, you know, if I want to wear a bikini, that scar isn't showing if I'm like stretching or moving in the wrong way. I did not want my tummy tuck scar to show, and also the dimples in my butt area. Okay, so this situation here, oh, and I'm sorry, and also the loose skin on my abs. So it's not so much the fat, it's the loose skin. So if I went with option 1, which is the breast reduction, 6 aerial lipo, and BBL, that would fix the revision, the filling in of my butt area, and that would just take fat out of my abs. I mean, out of those 6 areas to fill in those holes, right? Because you have to have fat from somewhere, right? It's a fat transfer. That was a $20,483. The J plasma and the breast reduction would then address minimizing my breasts, which is what I want, and it would fix the tightening of the skin. It would not fix the dimples in my butt. It would not fix my tummy tuck scar, but I'm already at $11,303. And the only thing included in this is the phase 1 faja and the operating fees. Nothing else is included, okay? So keep in mind, this is in Atlanta. So the benefit is that, of course, I don't have to worry about staying somewhere or anything like that, but I may want to have a nurse to come and just check on me, make sure everything is good. Any type of post-op massages from Massage One, I am paying out of pocket. It's not included in this package, okay? Now, let's talk about pros from the Atlanta doctor, which is, again, option 2. So the pros, it is a well-known doctor, okay? So a lot of people may see that. I don't personally see that as a plus, but I was trying to think general audience, what would be a benefit? It's almost like saying you have on like Gucci shoes, right? To be able to say, oh, I got my breasts done by Dr. Blank and Blank, and people will be like, oh, girl, you went to Dr. Blank and Blank? Like, people may see that as a pro, okay? The pro that's definitely impacting me is that it's in town and it's close to home, right? So I don't have to worry about coming out of pocket for traveling fees, right? And that's a big savings as well, because that can be up to, you know, $2,000 plus, depending on what you want to, on where you're staying, and if you have someone staying with you, and food and things like that. All right, the cons. This is pricey. And it's pricey, and I'll be honest with you, average results. His results to me are not, like, this 21,000 that he's quoting here, the results are not 21,000 for me. I definitely think that option 1, which is Dr. Yealy, he can't touch her, with all due respect. His results are not touching that, okay? And the other con is I will have to consider that there'll be at least $10,000 minimum in miscellaneous fees. And when I say that, I mean whether I'm talking about the post-op massages, the garments, if I do need a blood transfusion, any additional things that sometimes when you go for your pre-op, they may say, you know, you should also get this done. So I have to consider that as well. I don't know if I mentioned post-op massages. I will also have to consider a nurse. I will have to consider if I have to pay for travel to get back from the hospital to the house, because you may want to have someone who specializes in doing that type of transportation to take you back. All of those things have to be considered, along with all of the items that was included in option 1. I mean, guys, 10 massages were included in option 1. Like, you really, this is when I heard this and I was just like, okay, you know, if his results were amazing, I would be like, you know what, this is pricey, but the results are phenomenal, right? And of course, another pro that I didn't mention here is because it's in country, God forbid if anything happens, going to the emergency room is not going to be a problem. They're going to welcome you with open arms because it's in state. Okay, so that's another big pro that I have to consider, because again, I unfortunately ended up in the emergency room from my last round because of the necrosis. So that's something that does stay in the back of my mind as well. All right, so let's go to my last option. So my last option is going to be the Miami doctor. And as I mentioned, I'm not going to say the name. So this is a Miami doctor. He is not well known. However, the person he worked under throughout his, as he was working on his certification, is a very well-known doctor. Okay? And that's honestly the doctor I sought after first, but the doctor is out. I'm trying not to say the name. The doctor is out on sabbatical. So he was not available, but this doctor is available. So I decided to take a look, do my research, right? And looking at his before and after results, Loved it. BMI aligned with mine as well in all of these. Again, as I mentioned in my last video, you got to make sure that you're not only looking at their before and afters, but do the before pictures align with, are they close to your BMI? Do they have a similar body type, right? Because you want to make sure you're not looking at someone who looks nothing like you. That might be what their forte is, and it may not give you the results you're looking after, which are the optimal results. You don't want to spend even $5 on something and put yourself under the knife, and then you end up not getting the results you were looking for. So, lipo, 360 lipo, excuse me, BBL and J plasma is $7,150. So let's talk about what that's addressing. That's going to now address the issue with the dimples in my butt, and it's going to address the skin tightening. They are not going to do the breast reduction in the same round because they are very big on you not putting any pressure on your BBL, which is very different from my last round because she told me I could sit on it right away, and I personally think that's probably what resulted in a lot of the dimples that I had afterwards, but you live and you learn. He said that I would need to do the breast reduction separately, and this particular doctor does not do breast reductions. We talked about this in the last video. He is a BBL doctor. So that means I'll have to have my breast reduction in a separate round, which is okay if I do go with this option. And the breast reduction would need to be done by another surgeon. It could be done by another surgeon within the practice, but it just wouldn't be done with this particular doctor, okay? Now, the $7,150 does include garment and operating fees, okay? And that's the phase 1 garment. Let's talk pros and cons, okay? So, pros, great results with a similar BMI as I mentioned. Love his results. Very, very similar. You can almost tell that he has definitely been working under the other doctor I was seeking. Very, very similar results, and I love it. All right, lower risk because of course it's within the country. All right, cons is it's always going to be less aggressive results than the Dominican Republic based on my experience. Guys, please don't say in the comments that's not true because I got aggressive results in America. This is based on my experience, based on what I had in New York in 2011, and then the other round that I had in Dominican Republic, okay? Another con is that I'm going to have to consider costs for travel, food, flights and such because I live in Atlanta and this doctor is in Miami. So that's another thing that I need to consider if I do go in this way. And I put here non-surgical fees such as hotel, nurse. If I decide to not do a hotel and I want to do a recovery home, that's fine, but I'd have to consider the recovery home as well. Now, for those of you that don't know, if you do have a boyfriend or a husband that's going to be accompanying you, a recovery home is not an option. Like 90% of them are not going to allow a male to stay at the recovery home if that's what you do choose to do if you're staying if you're traveling out of state for your procedure. So that's something you do want to consider. A lot of these boutique nurses, the ones that come on site, they will come however often you'd like them to come. You can say, I want to pay for 40 hours and they could come 8 hours on day 1 and 8 hours day 2 and maybe 5 and then 10, whatever it is. You can choose that to your desire, but you do want to keep those costs in mind because when you're doing something out of state, other fees will apply. In our next video, I'm going to be sharing with you if I chose option 1, 2, or 3. So make sure you have your notifications on and that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. I want you to comment, which doctor do you think I'm gonna go with? Am I going with option 1, which is tried and true Dr. Yealy, who gave me great results in the last round minus a few hiccups, right? Do you think I'm gonna go with her, which again, she is in the Dominican Republic? Do you think I'm gonna go with the Atlanta doctor, who is a well-known doctor who's done quite a couple celebrities, but a little bit more priced and the results are average, right? Or do you think I'm gonna go with option 3, which is the Miami doctor? And again, the Miami doctor, a little bit less than, not a little bit, it's considerably lesser than the Atlanta doctor, but more than the more than the Dominican Republic, because more than Dr. Yili, because of course Dr. Yili, it includes a lot more, and there are other fees that I have to consider, but he does have some really great results based on who he's worked under while building his craft, right? I appreciate you guys for staying with us until the end. Don't forget to comment, support our channel. If you think this was informative, please share it with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend to follow us. We are almost at 1,000 followers. I appreciate your support. Don't forget to head on over to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, because we are growing. We love you so much for watching. Until next time.
Okay, alright.